this.
Oh.
Rolling sound. Can you give me a smack?
To mics?
Or just, a clap.
To the mics or the camera?
To the mics. Thank you. Thank you.
I just wasn't sure.
No, you're good.
Because last time I did it to the mic. But
no, you're good.
We have upgraded this episode.
We are upgraded.
Yay.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Little Grain Podcast, episode
Hello.
2. If you're watching this and you notice that there's probably no episode 1, that's because we had some sound issues and because there's some other stuff. But that doesn't mean that we might not release it. We're just waiting for some stuff.
You know what? We'll call it the lost first episode.
And then we'll release it.
If we get a following.
God, I look so good that day, though.
When we do release it, it'll be like, ooh, this is for our fans.
I also want to say...
Thinking we're hot shit.
Yeah, to our fans. Mia, Lucia, that's like the only fans we'll have.
Oh, Jesus.
Actually, my sisters will be fans. And I think your mommy will be a fan. My mom probably won't listen because she'll, not understand any of it.
That's fine. I mean, that's okay.
Maybe I'll just have her put it on so we can get the view of
Yeah.
her phone and her iPad. Which, can you believe we got this woman an iPad?
Yeah, you get your mom such nice gifts that she doesn't use to the fullest extent.
No, she does use. Okay, this one was like a gift Maribel and I got for her. I keep saying Maribel and I hate myself for this. I should have a little jar to put money every time I say Maribel because it's not Maribel, it's Maribel. I also call her Babe. Anywho,
you can make up a name.
This was a
for
joined
her.
gift.
Call her Babe 1.
She is the original Babe.
Yeah. So just refer to her as Babe 1.
This was a joined gift from her and I, and it was for her birthday and Mother's Day.
Okay.
And she watches she's kind of new to social media, and by that I mean just Facebook and Instagram. So we wanted her to be able to watch also YouTube. It's watch videos but not from her phone because she has the old iPhones. And we got her this iPad and she does use it. But the thing is that she doesn't use it in front of Fabian because she doesn't want Fabian to get addicted to using her tablet.
Because he's already addicted to using her phone.
Yeah. And she really wants to take care of it.
Yeah.
So she doesn't do it. Plus, I did
Fabian's
get her
a kid after my own heart because I was almost exactly the same way as he was when I was his age. When I was his age, making me sound old. My
you
parents
are older than him by a lot.
Okay.
Okay.
My parents had the old was it Nokia? Whatever the old brick phones that we used to have. Nokia. Sorry, the Nokia phones. I remember having those and playing Snake on it, which is essentially the game where you get the thing and your snake becomes longer, and I used to love it. That, and there was another game on the computer called Minesweeper that I would play a lot.
No, that one.
I wasn't very good at it, but I would play those games. I would find any game to just play because I thought it was super fun. So I feel for that kid a lot.
No, he enjoys using the phones and playing with everything. But do you know that I keep all my old phones? I have,
Really?
Do you remember Boost Mobile?
Yes.
Did you ever have a Boost Mobile?
I never had a Boost
I only
Mobile.
have it because people who are poor have that.
I was I was a rich bitch. I only had AT&T.
I was poor. I'm still poor.
No, I know Boost Mobile. I
have that one, and then I have, but I don't remember what type of phone. It was a flip phone, and then I still have my Razr phone.
Oh,
no, I still have the Razr phone, but the Razr phone, because those were expensive.
Yeah, they were.
But I didn't get a brand new Razr phone. I got the Razr phone because I lost my Metro PCS phone. Shout out to Metro PCS, and which I was so sad because that was actually my first phone that was bought for me. My mom gifted me a phone for Christmas, and it was such a cute phone.
Was it pink or anything? Was it color
I'm gonna bring out my collection next time.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
To show.
I have 2 old iPhones that I still have. But
I'm talking pre-iPhone era.
That is crazy.
So I lost this phone. I saw that coming. That's Lucia's.
Yeah, we use that to block her in when we open the door for extra light because we live in a cave. We live in a giant cave.
Yeah, there's like hardly any light here.
No, it's really not fun.
Anywho.
But disregard that.
So I lost that phone, and my uncle's wife, which my aunt, she gave me her old Razor phone, and I just connected it again. So it was like an old one, but it was still new.
Yeah.
Like, it still looked good.
Yeah.
So I used that, and so that's why I had a Razor phone. Like, I was a Boost Mobile kid or like a Metro PCS kid until I started working, and then I started college, and then everyone was having like an iPhone.
Yeah.
Everyone had an iPhone, and then I felt like I had to have it was so bad. I shouldn't have done that.
But
I felt pressured.
You've told me specifically you don't succumb to peer pressure, but this seems like the
That-
only time
that did it for
peer
me.
pressure actually won.
That totally did it for me.
Wow.
Like, okay, and the reason why, this is a core
Wow.
memory. I always have like really weird memories.
Unlocking core memory.
Do you remember like English class, college, like the first like freshman year English class that you're required to take?
Of college.
Of college. That's they like take you to the lab, like the library, and they have you do like a research lab, right? Like teach you how to use the whatever research thing.
Dude, I almost failed that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know the class that you need, like, that you take if you pass your test?
Okay, let's not be mean. Let's not be rude. For the people who don't know, I failed my remedial math and I was kicked out of college, out of San Jose State, and I had to go to City College in San Francisco. I stayed with my mom for a semester, and I came back. That is what she's referring to. That is why she's being mean.
No, I was talking about, do you never took remedial English?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a smart.
I had never took remedial English either.
Except when it came to math.
Math is.
Yeah.
But you probably saved money.
Sure. I mean, I did pay for City College myself. That was like the one good thing that I was able to do when I stayed with my mom for that semester. I paid for it completely. Because I'm a working man. Okay. Hard-working man.
Ew, don't do that. That's gonna sound really gross on the mic. And you, like, we don't even have the capacity to edit these videos. Am I actually, like, do I have to talk more closely to
I would bring it close to your face, but
that's gonna sound disgusting. And
for our Patreon viewers, there's more of that where it came from.
Charlie.
What?
We said we're not gonna do that.
Okay. No ASMR video after this. Sorry, guys. Continue.
Oh, I thought something else. I was like, no, we said we weren't gonna.
Continue with your story. Continue with your story.
I forgot my story. Oh, okay. So we were in that lab, and the instructor teaching the lab was like, oh, okay, so like you need to access this, whatever. And if you have an iPhone, like, so like only for people who had iPhones. If whoever didn't have an iPhone, which was like me and like 2 other people in the whole entire class, we had to like go through like a different thing, and we had to use like the actual desktop or whatever. And I was like, that's really mean. But I didn't think about it that way. I thought about like, I need an iPhone because I can't be left behind educationally.
Well, I mean, they are useful.
I do drive that.
They're not the only smartphone out there. I know my sister has an Android, but they are very useful.
Okay. But how many times have we told her you need to get an iPhone? Because we're tired.
She is the only one that she comes up green on the text messages, which is very annoying.
No, she makes all of her text messages green. And then I can't even send her like a video. I can't send a video to the whole group.
And then she complains that she doesn't get anything. It's like, well,
we can't send it to the group chat because you don't get them.
You have to come to the dark side, which is iPhone.
Yeah.
So
we shouldn't be giving them that much promotion. We're not getting paid.
Apple, please sponsor us. That'd be great.
I just was gonna say that literally right before we started this podcast, I was dying, and I think
Wait, before we continue, can I have one story about iPhones?
Yes.
When they first came out, I didn't get an iPhone. I got the iPod Touch when it first came out because they came out at the same time.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
There was the iPod.
I know the iPod.
The iPod Touch.
I didn't even have an iPod.
It was like, I think that I feel like they still have them. I have not checked. So if someone in the comments wants to leave us a comment that they still have it, that'd be awesome. But it was the iPod Touch, which is essentially the next evolution of iPod, which is all the features of the iPhone, except it wasn't a phone. It was just an iPod.
But could you still text?
I mean, you could download an app to text, but
Oh,
it was just everything you would get from the iPhone just as an iPod, though.
I didn't even know
And
that
I got
existed.
that thinking it's like, well, I already have. I had the old like flip Nokia phones that my mom got me.
Nokia.
Nokia. I can't say that name for some reason. Nokia phone.
Is it Nokia or Nokia?
I don't know.
Anywho.
But I had one of those and I was like, well, I already have this. Why am I going to get that? Which is dumb in retrospect because then I'd be like, oh, everything's all in one. But I didn't. I got the iPod Touch and I had that for the longest time
Mm.
until I went to college. I stayed in an apartment with 6 guys. I was the 6th man. So it was 2-bedroom,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
3 guys to each room. It was ridiculous. And our apartment got broken into and they stole that. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It sucked. I had it for so long. But at the end of the day, I was like, whatever.
Did you ever find out who stole it?
Oh, it was some random person. I mean, we were off. Is it 6th Street? No. What?
7th. Weren't you on 7th?
I think I was off of 7th Street. Yeah.
South 7th
Mm-hmm.
Street. That makes a
And
difference.
it just, they broke in and took all that. Surprisingly, they did not take my Xbox.
They were not gamers.
No. I think, did they leave my TV?
They would leave it.
Oh, they did leave my TV because the TV that we have in the room, that's mine. They left my TV and my Xbox, but they took my iPhone.
Was that TV from like your home? Like
No.
you're in your room? Or did you buy that for
Oh,
college?
no. Sorry. So that one was a replacement. They did take my TV. I think it was it was a different brand, but I remember getting that later on from like Costco for hecka cheap.
Costco's.
But that was from college, so yeah.
Oh.
So.
I feel like you've told me this story a lot, like multiple times, but I don't think you've ever told me that they stole your. I just know they stole stuff. You never told me what.
Yeah, I never went into.
Stole.
I mean, they stole only I think the TV and the iPod from me, but from my other roommates they stole like a computer and stuff like that. So it was bad.
Yeah,
it was a rough time.
But the reason why Charlie had to stay in this apartment with 6 other guys. Oh, yeah. Basically, you had to stay like in a closet, right? I
was literally in a closet. So it was a glass door rolling closet door. Mm-hmm. Kind of the same thing we have here. And I had a futon that was like half in there, half out. My clothes were above me. And the reason why I was there is because when I applied to San Jose State, they accepted too many kids. Yeah.
So the year we started school, which was 2011, they accepted way too many kids. Yeah. And everyone said, yeah, well, not everyone, but like majority, like a big quantity said yes.
Yeah.
And they ran out of dorms.
Yeah. And I believe this is a strategy done by other schools, but San Jose State in particular, where they'll say yes to a lot of kids, but their expectation is not everyone's going to say yes to them.
And a lot of people
because it's usually like their 3rd, 4th choice of school. So they're usually going to try to go for.
So mean. That was my first.
I mean,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't even want to go to college.
Really?
Yeah. I was going to go to a performing arts school. But
Where?
Then I realized,
wait. You've never told me this.
Yeah. I had applied to a couple of like performing arts schools. Mm-hmm. One in LA, one in New York. And I like submitted my application, did all that stuff. And then when I was going to do the audition for it, because you have to audition, I didn't go through with it because I realized that it was a lot of money and I couldn't afford it at all. And my parents obviously couldn't afford it. And the thing with those schools is like, I don't know how they are now, but they weren't really, like they don't offer you a lot of financial aid at all. So I was like, whatever. And there's a lot of other reasons that we won't get into, but San Jose State just seemed like a good option because I didn't have to pay a lot of money for it. I lived just a couple blocks away from it. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to stay in the dorms.
Yeah.
And
it was more financially viable for you.
For sure. And I mean, I was the first one in my family to be able to go to like a 4-year.
I was going to go to a school in Oregon. It wasn't Oregon State. It was called Linfield. Mm-hmm. And it was like a private school. And there was a big chance I could have gone there because they gave me some financial aid. And my mom was actually like thinking of the idea of be like, oh, maybe this will work and stuff. But we'll talk about this in another episode. But my parents are divorced. They separated. And it was a pretty rough time from like pretty much high school into college. So there wasn't a whole lot of money around. There was a lot of bickering back and forth between my parents. So I think eventually I landed with San Jose State, not only because it was a cheaper choice, but because my cousin Jonathan went there. And at least I knew someone who was going to the school. And I remember going with my mom to check it out, and he showed up. He gave us a tour, and it felt really, really cool. So that's why I ended up going there.
Yeah.
And if we went to different schools, we would never have met, never
Maybe
gotten
not.
married, never had
Didn't
our.
have Mimis. We wouldn't have Mimi.
Yeah. Which goes into our next topic, Mimi's, and trying to sleep train this lovely child.
Last night
was so rough,
terrible.
Dude. It was so rough. I'm so exhausted.
Terrible, and not like in a. She didn't even cry. It wasn't like she was crying nonstop. It wasn't even that. Like, it was just, honestly, the way I feel today.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're good.
The way I feel today is the way I probably felt after I gave birth.
Really?
I feel so exhausted. Like, I think I'm coming down with something because my body. Actually, no. You know what? I'll take it back.
Because I feel like after your birth, that was like going to war.
That was dramatic.
I'm not trying to insult the troops, but it was like it was rough.
Pretty traumatic. Yeah, it was rough. We can't compare it to war, but we can. It was.
What? I want to put a little flair in it.
Okay, you and your flair. No, I feel. You know how when I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
The first trimester and the third trimester, they're pretty rough.
Yeah.
I can't even say rough anymore.
Say it.
Pretty hard.
Say it with flair.
No.
Do it.
No.
Please.
Can we move on?
Fine.
You're rough.
Yay.
And you know when you feel like, and everyone who's been pregnant before probably knows this, but you feel like a train has just.
You've been hit by a train.
I've been hit by a train.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel today.
Go into the story about how, like, I don't know if you want to go into the full story, but maybe hit the highlights of like how the pregnancy with Mia was, because it wasn't like your average pregnancy. It was very much, I feel like, kind of a crazy ride.
No, the pregnancy was pretty average.
Not pregnancy, not birth.
Okay.
Birth was crazy.
Okay, hold on. My pregnancy was pretty average.
Mm-hmm.
I would even dare say that it was great because I didn't have any nausea, hardly. Well, okay, I'll take it back. I did have nausea, but not like the kind that's going to make you throw up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just had like food aversions, and then like I just felt a little like nauseous. And funny enough, I didn't have the morning sickness. It was the evening sickness. You remember how like at like around 6 p.m. every day I'd be like, I'm going to go to bed now because I feel nauseous and I can't even eat dinner.
Yeah.
So I would have to try to like eat dinner before.
And then you were up every like 2 to 3 hours.
That was like that was third trimester where I was up every 2 hours to go pee, and I still would not feel any relief.
Yeah.
But that also helps. I feel it helps your body prepare and your mind prepare for when you have the baby, because you are up every 2 hours, or in our case, you're up all night because our child refused to be laid down.
Yeah.
But. So I would say my pregnancy was great overall. Like, first trimester, there was 3 weeks around in my first trimester, which was kind of around week 11 to week 13, that I had insane migraines. Like, every day, really bad migraines. And that was the telltale sign? I can't say that word.
Telltale. Yeah, you said it right. You said it right.
That apparently I was going to have a girl, because my aunt told me she has a boy and a girl. And she said with the boy, she never felt headaches.
Mm-hmm.
But with the girl, she always had the migraines.
So,
and this is the second person that told me that.
So what is like that old wives' tale about like knowing if you have a boy or a girl? Is it like the girl saps the beauty from you and the boy doesn't?
I don't know, because I've heard both ways. Like, I've heard like, oh, the girls take your beauty and the boys don't. You look more glowy with the boy. But I have also heard it reversed. So I don't know.
Okay.
Your Wita told me that it's like, oh, it's so funny that they say that the girls take your beauty, but then like she was saying, but you like don't even look like you look beautiful. And I was like, thanks, Wita.
This is how it's supposed to be, but you are different.
Yeah, like, you're gorgeous. And I was like, thanks, Wita.
Oh, Wita's so sweet.
Love her. So, and honestly, I also had pretty great skin.
Yeah.
While I was pregnant, like no breakouts, no Like nothing, no redness. I have rosacea, like a very mild case of rosacea, and actually I feel like it's starting to come back. And I don't know if it's because I stopped breastfeeding.
It could be that.
I should probably ask a lactation consultant because I wonder if it has any connection with it.
Mm.
But now that I stopped breastfeeding, I can start kind of putting my ointments again, like retinol. I can go on and on about skincare. Anywho, so yeah, my pregnancy was average. Now I have this theory, and I don't know if this is true, but I feel like if you have a really like a good average pregnancy,
Yeah.
that labor is gonna be rough, difficult,
So
hard,
the better the pregnancy,
worse.
the worse the birth.
Yeah.
So the
And
worse
then,
the
but the
pregnancy,
worse
the
the pregnancy,
better.
the easiest the labor. And I don't know if it's true, but I've
Is
heard a
that
lot of
true
people.
like 100% of the time?
No, I don't know, but that's my theory. Because I've seen a lot of people. Like I've kind of like I know this person who had a horrible pregnancy.
Sorry, I'm just adjusting down. Sorry. Continue.
I know this person who had a really bad pregnancy. Like they were physically ill the whole entire 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
but then their labor was like so easy and just perfect.
Mm.
My labor was insane.
It was insane. And it was like, were we in the hospital for like a week or 2 weeks?
Well, after we had her, yeah. We were there from Tuesday. Well, she was born Wednesday morning,
Mm-hmm.
and we were there till Sunday.
She was born Wednesday and we were there until Sunday. But we went in
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
But I started laboring on Monday.
Yeah, so it was like a full week.
Yeah.
It was like a full on
kind of
week,
thing.
like a full 7 days
I
of being in the hospital, not laboring.
was 40. I was about to be 41 weeks when I was going to be induced. So I was going to be induced on a Tuesday, which is October 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
No, October 4th. What am I talking about? October 4th.
Yeah.
And because nothing was happening. Like I was no like hadn't been dilated at all. They said like, "Oh, you're a little dilated, but like hardly anything." And we knew that like the weekend before Tuesday, we were walking. Remember we used to like go on like long walks.
Mm-hmm.
Did the whole like eating the dates.
Which was great because we got Lucia like a year prior, or was it that year?
No, a year prior.
A year prior.
Mhm.
So she was still a puppy.
Yeah.
So it was great going on those walks because we got her out, we got you out. It was like,
well, you walked me.
Yeah, I walked you. Sometimes you need to be walked. You know what? It's okay to feel like I need to be walked sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
You just need to get out.
I think we got that from
walk.
Sophie.
We did
and
get
it
that
like
from
totally
Sophie.
resonated with us.
Yeah.
Sophie's Charlie's cousin.
Who also has a podcast. So shout out
to Little Guy Big Girl podcast.
Little Guy Big Girl podcast.
Which I'm just gonna take a quick pause here, but thanks to them is why I think we have all this equipment, because Aaron was super helpful in trying to get like this equipment.
Yeah.
Like telling you what to get.
Just seeing someone in your immediate circle, be it family or friends, doing something like this gives you the motivation to be like, well, if they're doing it, I could do it, you know? Sometimes when you see things on YouTube or you see other people doing it, it does feel super far away just because
it's just so far removed.
It's so far removed. It's like you assume that they have a better situation, they're more financially stable or whatever, even though maybe the reality is that's not true.
Yeah.
But seeing someone directly close to you do it, you're just like, well, I want to do this. I've always wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And it gives you the motivation. And he has been a really good source of information and just going back and forth about like, what do I need to get? So all this equipment, again, thank you, Aaron Klein. You're awesome.
And we did mention this on the first podcast about how we had filmed essentially one episode, like 3 years ago, and it just wasn't the right time. And I think this time around, I think that was kind of like what pushed us, like, because last time that they were here visiting us, we mentioned like, hey, we like want to do a podcast, and they're like, we're filming a podcast. And then I think that kind of started, and then we went to LA for Stefan's graduation, saw the setup, and kind of were introduced to everything. And Charlie builds a bromance with Aaron, and now they're like in love. Charlie for sure is in love with him. I don't know about Aaron with you, but
it's a one-sided relationship.
It's a very one-sided.
It doesn't matter. He's dating my cousin. I could be this way.
Okay. So anyway, thank you to them.
Yeah, and it's just
motivating.
It's awesome.
Without them knowing that they probably motivated
Also,
us.
that time I was also in a different headspace. I was smoking weed a lot. My head was just not in the right place for a lot of things. I think after we had Mia, I really started cracking down on a lot of things. And we'll get into that story way
Way
later.
later.
But yeah, that's just where I was at. But continue with your story.
Okay, so the weekend before, oh my gosh, no, where do I like this is I think we're just gonna make this episode about our birth story because it's so long.
Okay.
Should we just make it about
Just
that?
let's do it. Let's go right into it.
Okay, so before I'm 39 weeks, right?
Mhm.
And for those who don't know, your pregnancy is technically 40 weeks, but you can go into labor anytime starting at 36 weeks. It's considered normal for someone to go into labor. If you're
Yeah.
37, that's even more normal. And
So you're
but
just like right on
so
the
it's like
precipice of
yeah,
it.
so like from 36 weeks, I would say to like 42 weeks, some people could go, that it could happen at any time.
Okay.
My older sisters who have kids, they went into like Maria went into labor at 36 weeks and Dulce went into labor at 37. So I assumed, and everyone assumed, that I would go into labor around the same weeks because of the way my body is built and how I'm petite, and like I just probably wasn't going to be able to like handle having. But I don't know if that has anything to do with it. It's just everyone assumed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at 39 weeks.
Okay.
And Charlie comes home from work. And he's looking a little tired, but I was like, it makes sense because he had this like thing to do in like Half Moon Bay. Hold on. This is my
Okay.
version, and then you can tell your version.
Okay. Yes, we will have two versions of this part because I need to state my own version.
This is the controversial.
You can't
like,
take this story.
This is like the controversial like Friends things. Like were they on a break or not?
Oh God!
And we should have like a little poll, be like, was Charlie right or Sandra wrong?
I mean, I think it's just different perspectives, different people going through the same situation. But yes, there are two versions to this story, two perspectives. How about if I say
I'll
that?
tell my side, and
you tell your perspective. I will tell my perspective.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Go.
Okay. So Charlie goes home from work again. He looks a little tired, but it's normal. He like takes this like fatty nap. And I'm on the phone with my family. I'm like talking or whatever. And then Charlie comes out and he's like, oh, I'm not feeling really well. Like, I'm not feeling good at all. And I was like, oh, okay, well, go take a shower and then see how you feel. He gets out of the shower, still not feeling good. And I was like, you know what? I'll just sleep in the living room. Because I don't want to risk it. Like, what if you're coming down with something and I don't want to get it? I don't want to get sick right now. Like, I could go into labor at anytime. So, which in retrospect, why didn't you leave me the bed?
I don't know. I don't want to talk over your story, but I think you decided to go.
I did.
You decided to go to the couch. And I think because I took a nap in the bed.
Oh,
it
yes.
was tainted.
Okay,
it was tainted.
yes.
But continue with the story. I'm being
exactly
quiet
why. Yeah,
because
like,
I want time to like rebuttal this whole story.
Yes, I was like, what? No, that makes sense. Yeah,
Okay.
I said I'm going to sleep in the living room, and you did say, and then I said no because you already contaminated. Whatever you're coming down with.
I sullied the bed.
Yes. Okay. So then I sleep here, and it's like around 4 or 5 in the morning. You come out of the room to go to the bathroom, and you're visibly like not feeling good. And then I'm like, oh, great. I'm already in my head. I'm like, oh God. So then, in the morning, I go to the room from the door. I'm like, hey, how are you feeling? He's like, not good at all. So I'm like, here, take the test. And by the test, you know what I'm talking about. We cannot say the name of the medical problem, right? Starts with the C. We cannot say
it's the crowned virus.
Oh, the crown.
The crown. The crown. The crown virus.
And it came back positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I didn't say anything, but in my head, I was so mad, so annoyed.
You were so pissed at me.
I was so pissed at you because I literally, and I think I only asked you, I was like, do you wear a mask at work? And you're like, no. And I'm like, that's enough. Like, I walked out and I was so mad because
I'm done. It's as if I said, I slept with another woman.
It was the equivalent of that to me. Because, okay, in my perspective, okay, I had told you before we were even 36 weeks, I was like, Charlie, right at 36 weeks, like, something could go down. Please be mindful. Please take care of yourself. Cause like, obviously I want you in the room with me. Like, this is an experience that we're only gonna like have once. And I want you there. I need
Yeah,
you there.
100%.
And you weren't careful. And this was the consequence. And now, not only that, now I was like, well, what the F am I gonna do? Because if I call my mom, she's immediately going to be like, pack your bags, come stay with me because I don't want you getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
But I also did not want to get them sick. What if I already had it? Because I had already been exposed to it.
Yeah.
And so that was that. But I still called my sister and I was like, what do I do? And she's like, call mom. I'm sure she's going to say just to go and I can pick you up. And I was like, okay. I was crying. I was mad. I wasn't talking to Charlie at all.
No, I was given the silent treatment.
Yeah. So then I called my mom and she said, yes, exactly what I thought she was going to say. Come here. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be okay. And my mom loves Charlie. So of course, and she's like, leave Charlie with this, and that. And I was like,
a saint. I would like to say she's a saint. It's probably because we're both Aries. She understands her own kind. So she protected me. She's like, don't be hard on him. And it's like, yeah, don't be hard on me.
okay. You're like a little like Aries baby that she never had.
Yeah. I'm the Aries baby she's always wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But continue.
I was like, I think you're the only Aries in the house aside from her. Yeah, you are.
Yeah. We have to band together.
Yep, for sure. And so then my sister came, picked me up with all my stuff. Poor Lucia had to stay behind with the sick person over here. But before I left, I did make you some tea. I like made you stuff and I left it there and I said, here, I'm going to like order you things, get them, delivered here and you're going to be okay. Call me, whatever. So then I make it to my parents and everything's going fine. But I have an appointment. So that was like on Wednesday, Thursday. I don't remember. It was the end of the week. And I had an appointment the next day to my doctor's for my 39-week checkup. And I call my doctor and I'm like, hey, listen, my husband just got a positive test. And like, what do I do? Like, what's the protocol? Because obviously, like, I don't know if you guys can still, like, I can still go to my appointment. And she's like, well, you have an appointment tomorrow. It's okay. What if you come today be my last appointment and we'll, like, do the whole procedure, like taking care of us. Well, they did. I literally went in there through a different door. I had to go take because you always have to pee on a cup, like, and so I had to like do it in a different separate bathroom. It was this whole thing.
They come out in like the Monsters Inc. Like,
they did.
Contamination.
They did. No,
suits.
for sure they did.
It's a 2319. 2319.
They did. And then my first question was like, if I go into labor, what's gonna happen? Like, what if I am positive? And like, what's going to happen with Charlie? Can he still go in the room? And she said, well, if both of you are positive, they'll just quarantine you in a room. Well, you have the baby, but the baby will stay with you because that's fine. And I was like, okay. But I was still hoping that I would be positive. So all those, like, it was from week 39. I did my 39 weeks, 40 weeks there. It was like a 10-day period, technically. That was like kind of the period of time that I had to stay away from you. I wasn't positive, thank God. And I cried a lot because I was so sad that you weren't going to be there. And it wasn't until the second day that I was at my parents' that I realized I can't be mad at Charlie. It's okay. Things happen for a reason. If he's getting it now, then this means that when the baby's born, we're a little safer because he already got it. So we're a little, because I was a worry, obviously.
Can I tell my perspective now?
Yes. On that part, yeah.
On that part. So everything you said is true. Like there's no like differences. I will say at the very beginning. So I work for an audiovisual company.
Why didn't you wear a mask?
Let me get there. So I work for an audiovisual company and they have property. They have like offices in different hotels, like pretty much across the country. It's like a global company and stuff like that. But they have a property at Half Moon Bay at the Ritz-Carlton there. So I was working there. I don't know if I got it there because it was really soon after that I started feeling like wear and tear. So maybe I got it somewhere prior to that. But that shift was just super draining.
My guess is that you got it at Target that weekend because you also didn't wear a mask.
That's true. So that's the build up to the story. I worked a shift there. It was like, I want to say it was like a 6 to 8 hour shift. I don't remember specific. I want to say it's an 8 hour shift. It's pretty intense, and it's a big property, so you're walking a lot. There's a lot of things. There are a lot of turnarounds that we're doing. So we're moving and grooving. And I didn't feel anything while I was there. And the reason, and I'll bring this up, the reason why I didn't wear a mask is because at this point, it was the tail end of everything. I wore a mask through the entirety of the lockdown, through the entirety of the crown virus pandemic situation. I was very good about everything, and this was towards the end. So I got laxed about it just because I was like, other people aren't wearing it. Yes, did I succumb to like a little bit of like, no one's wearing it, should I be wearing it sort of deal? It was kind of the tail end where if you were still wearing it, people are like, why are you still wearing that?
Because my wife is pregnant and
Yes,
about to give birth.
I know. It was a dumb choice, but that is what happened. I stopped wearing it, and I got it bad. And what was worse is either I got an intense version of the virus, or it was a combination of also because I stopped smoking weed at this point. Like during the beginning of the pregnancy, I quit cold turkey because, you were going into labor. It was getting really dicey towards the end. I couldn't be foggy brained at this time. And speaking of the mic so that we can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. During this time, I just wanted to be there for you. And so I quit everything. And prior to this, I was an avid smoker. Like I would do it every single day. I was high a lot.
Not
of the
in
time.
front of me. I just want to point that out because I want people
No,
to know.
I would
Never
go.
in front
I would
of
go
me.
outside and do my thing, and then shower, wash down, be high, but I wouldn't smell like weed around you or smoke in front of you.
I am an angel, and I've never done any of that.
You are an angel.
And I mean that I've never done it, and
Yeah,
I'm not an angel for doing that. I'm not shitting. No, like I respect anyone who wants to do it. I just never.
Yeah,
done it.
you've
So
never done it. I mean, I will wear you down one day. But I was very
clear.
I will wear you down.
Probably today because I am exhausted. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, to continue my side real quick. Don't mean to shut you down, but I want to continue my side. So with a combination of that, I just got hit with a brutal sickness. I went to take a nap. I woke up and I just did not feel good. And I told her, hey, I don't feel good at all. She gave me the silent treatment. While this is happening, obviously, yes, I fucked up. Should I have worn a mask? Yes, I should have done that. Should I have been more careful? Yes. But I'm dying. I am literally dying. I feel like shit. Not only, physically, but mentally, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not going to be there for the birth of my child. I'm not there for my wife. I feel awful. And all I'm getting out of Sandra is silence.
Which I think is worse because I had all these things to tell you in my mind. And like, I was like, there's no reason for me to tell him anything because I know he's already feeling sick. So if I tell him this is
it would
pointless.
Just make me feel worse. It would just make me feel worse.
But I felt like I also couldn't be like happy go lucky. Like, oh honey, you're gonna feel so good. Like, don't even worry.
I will say when you went to your mom's and you were getting me things, I felt like there was a little more caring in your voice, if that makes sense.
I was over it by the second day. I was like, you know what? Things happen for a reason. My mom talked to me. I think I just needed to cry it out. And this is so cute. I cried it out with my mom and was it Dulce or Maribel who were there? I forgot one of those two. We cried it all out. And my dad was looking at it. I was like, oh, this is insane.
It's like, it's never ending.
Because my mom was like feeling bad for me because she's like, it's such a special moment and she would have wanted you to be there.
Yeah. Which I was there. I did get better. I was there. Everything kind of worked out. I know we're just skipping ahead of the story, but just to give those two perspectives.
He ended up being there because the whole 10-day quarantine thing passed and I didn't even go into labor in those 10 days.
Yeah, Mia
Mia was like, I'm going to wait for daddy.
But during my sickness, it was awful. Like I remember this one intense point that I always tell people was it felt like I was just getting like progressively worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then there was this one point where I slept wrong because I was sleeping on the couch. I wasn't in the bedroom. I was on the couch because I wanted to be as close to the kitchen as possible just to get things, or the bathroom. I did not want to be in the room. So I was sleeping on the couch, and I think I slept wrong because at like midnight, it was like in the middle of the night, I woke up and my hands like contorted like this. And they were like that the entire, like, I felt my body shaking, my hands were contorting. I I was like literally falling apart and I didn't know what to do. Like I couldn't even tap my phone to like get Larry, who is our landlord, is my mother's boyfriend, just to give some context, but he lives we're in an in-law unit. He lives in the house. We live in essentially a garage. But besides that, I didn't have the ability to like call him to be like, hey, take me to a hospital. So I was like, what do I do? So I decided to turn on the shower and take a warm shower. There was a moment I was like, am I going to go into shock because it's warm? I feel cold. Am I going to kill myself? But I think the shower did help because it like relaxed me. It relaxed my muscles and everything kind of like just like, okay, okay. At that point, I think I hit like the peak of whatever it was because then I started to relax. I started to feel a little bit better. And by a little bit, I mean minuscule. Like, if you've ever done drugs, at the peak of whatever you're doing, when you kind of just like, oh my God, it like peaks off and then you kind of like sustain whatever high you're on. That's what it was, where it was like, I was still sick. I was still very, very sick, but I didn't feel like I was climbing into sickness anymore. It was like, boop, okay, all right. I feel like shit still, but it doesn't feel like I'm getting shittier.
Mm-hmm.
So I got there, thank God you gave me like a cocktail of like not like drugs per se, but you got me a bunch of stuff from Walgreens. Like you ordered a
Oh
bunch of
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. Like I ordered you like medicine, and I got you
Medicine,
like
Pedialyte, like a bunch of things that I just kept downing and
coconut
stuff.
water,
I
soups.
lived off soups. So I
And
lost
then
like,
your mom came to drop some stuff off as
yeah,
well.
so they also helped, but I just got it really, really bad. Uh, and it's funny because like my brother-in-law, Steve, your sister's
Okay, so
boyfriend.
can I take it back
Yeah,
and then you'll go?
let me just go into this and I'll give
Well,
it back
because
to you.
I have to tell the story about how it happened.
Okay, but I just want to say he got it too and was fine. Now go into your
Okay,
perspective.
so this was Wednesday to Thursday. I don't remember. My brother Steve was on a work trip, and he was coming back the next day after I had ended up going to my parents, and my sister um literally calls me and says, Steve just called me from the way home from the airport and said that he's not feeling well. I'm going to have him get tested, but like, this is insane. So as soon as he gets home, my sister makes him go directly to the bathroom and get tested. And he's also positive. So then my sister's like pissed.
God damn.
she
Oh
grabs
God.
she grabs my nephew and she like goes to my parents. And like now we're both quarantining at my parents. Well, not quarantine, but we're both staying at my parents, which like it sounds crazy, but it's also like my dream because both of us are living at my parents again.
Basically, the husband's got the shit end of the stick with the love, and then the sisters are like all reunited.
Well,
It's
because
all
we
okay.
hadn't lived together in such a long time, and I
Yeah.
felt like what better way to
Which I think is,
go through this horrible moment that I was feeling than like with her, which like
I'm
I'm really
glad it
close to
happened.
her.
I'm glad it happened because I feel like during that time, it was good for you to be with your sisters.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not happy that I got sick. I'm not, obviously overjoyed with the situation, but out of the situation, it was like the best
For
outcome.
sure,
Yeah.
because like one, I'm like really close to her too. She was like my biggest support system when I was pregnant because she had gone through pregnancy before. Like literally, I would feel a symptom and I'd be texting her like, "Is this normal?" So like, what better way to go through that moment than with her because she was always there to support me and like just kind of, I literally had her 24/7 for like those 10 days that we were at my
Which
parents.
is good. That's
And then I
good.
also got to really know my nephew on a deeper level because like with Fabian used to live with me.
So you're talking about Stevie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like with Fabian, he used to live with me because Maria lived with us. But with Dulce, we never had that moment with Stevie. Like only like some 3-day weekends or like 3-day days that we would take care of him, right? But like it
Mhm.
was never like a full on. And he's just growing up and he's learning so many things and he's so silly. So like those 10 days, like he really was like sunshine because he was like doing all like he was teaching me all his choreography he was learning from school. So like here I am like 9 months pregnant, like dancing, trying to get this baby out with him. Like it was just really cute to just kind of spend that time. Even though it was hard, it was still kind of nice that we got to spend that time together.
Good.
But the difference is that like you were not able to sleep. My brother was able to sleep. So he
Yeah.
slept through the illness. You couldn't. Like
Which
he got it.
is,
He was
I'm not, and
fine.
I'm not trying to call anyone out, but Steve, he vapes. He used to smoke cigarettes. I smoked weed and I thought I was dying. And I remember calling you and be like, oh, you got to help him out. He's going to have a terrible time. And you just said like, no, he's fine. He's
Yeah, he was
whatever.
doing fine.
And I'm like, how the fuck
Like it was so
is this
bad.
happening to me? But I'm glad he was
Well, he
fine.
also eats like really healthy.
I don't eat that bad in comparison.
I don't think he like eats a bucket of ice cream every night.
At that point, I was not eating a bucket of ice cream every night. When we were living
prior to it though, what said like he's been on a like health.
I know he's been very healthy. Not taking that away. When we were living at Grove, I was not that healthy.
But when we were here too,
it wasn't a bucket of ice
the whole
cream.
pregnancy, you had more.
It was
sugar
maybe
than I
half
did.
a bucket of ice cream. Okay,
Okay,
let's be like realistic about how much ice cream I was consuming. First off, ice cream is delicious and needs to be consumed on a constant basis. I'm lactose intolerant, but I tolerate ice cream.
No, you don't tolerate. You just don't care. Like what is no?
My body doesn't tolerate it because at night I fart like a motherfucker. And it's terrible.
It's not fun. Literally the other day I was like, this is so gross, but I was like, you need to go to the normally I'm okay with whatever. I'm like, whatever, I can sleep through it. That day I was like, no.
There's like no.
I was like, is that for you? I was blaming Lucia for a second. I was like, what the heck, Lucia? Like, what the hell does she eat? Like, I thought I was like, oh, she probably ate something off the floor.
I'm sorry. I'm better now. I'd like to say I'm better now.
Baby, it wasn't
I'm better
you.
now.
It wasn't you. It was just daddy.
I'm better now. I don't do that as much.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah.
Well, because you don't smoke.
Yeah,
anymore.
no, I don't.
Anywho,
but I will say in the vein of the smoking thing, I did pick it up again. Like, was it 2 months, 3 months after she was born?
3 months.
3 months.
But also, can we point out that you weren't smoking through the day? Like this was like when we were
prior to having our daughter
to
Mia,
just kind of be able to sleep.
I was smoking like consistently throughout the day. Like if I had a day off, I was pretty much high all day. That ramped down obviously when she was born. And I was sober for like 2-3 months, and then I picked it up again like around Christmas time or something like that, because my brother got me some sweet gifts. I love you, Stefan. But after that, after I like smoked everything, I was like, you know what, I don't need this right now, because she was getting older. I just needed to be more aware of things, and it's been really, really good. I've been kind of sober ever since, so it's been really, really good for me, I think, mentally, to be in more of a sober state.
And I feel like it's, and I'm not going to bring it up. I think I just talked about this in a different episode because I think it's a whole topic about.
Oh yeah, no. We'll bring this up later, but this is just giving context to like what probably attributed to me being like super, super sick, because it's probably getting all that shit out.
Probably your immune system
was probably just shot. It was probably shot because I was working a lot. I was still smoking, and then I stopped smoking. And like I think cold turkey, my body kind of just shut down, which brought in everything. So it could have been a cacophony of things. You like my verbiage?
Yeah. Loved it. I loved it.
But continue.
So 10 days go by. And I come back on a Saturday. And on Tuesday of that week, I'm going to be induced. That's the plan. Because the baby, I would have, at that point, I would have hit 41 weeks on that Wednesday, and they wanted to kind of get that. Plus, my doctor was on a trip, and she was like, we can induce you once I get back, unless you want a different doctor. And I was like, no, I want my doctor. So I come back on Saturday. But prior to coming back, I had some, like, oh my God, why can I not think? I feel like I have pregnancy brain all over. Am I pregnant?
No, you're not. We already took a test. You're not.
I
You're
just
not.
feel like
You're
not
not.
myself right now.
No.
Okay. So
Were you scared about coming back home?
no. I had some cravings. That's what it is. I had some cravings.
Cravings.
You know how like the first craving I ever had was like pan de bono, which is like this little bread filled with cheese inside that's like Colombian. Which I thought was like, oh, of course, this Colombian baby wants pan de bono.
Yeah.
So, but I hadn't had it my whole pregnancy. I didn't know where to. Well, I did know where to find it, but it was in San Jose at this
You
like
didn't
place.
have any legitimate cravings that I would have liked to participate in.
Yeah, my cravings were like pan de bono.
Yeah, or like fruit.
I really wanted figs. And
Figs.
God bless my godparents that got me figs.
I was ready for like, Jamba Juice. There was one McDonald's craving that I capitalized on.
Oh yeah, I was obsessed with like McDonald's hotcakes.
Yeah, so I mean there was a little bit, but there wasn't like crazy like in the middle of the night. It's like, oh, go get me.
Well, there was one night that I said I really wanted something, and you're like, "What, right now, honey?"
Wait, what night was that?
I don't remember what I even wanted, but I wanted something, and you're like, "Right now?"
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't deliver on that.
Yeah, sorry.
But that was also far and few in between.
Yeah, I didn't really have those.
No, you had very mild cravings.
I craved cucumber, watermelon, peach.
Which I'm glad you're healthy, but at the same time, I'm like, bruh.
And then towards the end of it, I really actually craved meat because I think I was iron deficient, which I was. I was iron deficient.
True.
And I really craved meat. And then and then my like family was so sweet. Like everyone was really sweet. Like when you're pregnant is the best. Everyone like just dotes on you.
Yeah, and you can literally get away with murder.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
Not trying to be mean, but literally you could do anything and everyone's like, oh, whatever.
Everyone makes room for you.
You get a pass.
Yeah, like if they're eating something.
You could be rude to someone and be like, I'm sorry,
hormones. And they'd be like, don't even worry about it. Like
Yeah.
I've been there, done that.
I get it.
My wife, whatever. Like really. Like people are so nice and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It makes me want to be pregnant forever because
towards the end it gets a little rough. I feel like you feel very swollen.
Yeah, towards the end I was like done.
Yeah.
I was really like I'm
second trimester is pretty
second trimester
is that sweet spot where it's like you're not that big, but you're not that small. Obviously people can tell and it's like you can start getting
the way you're talking about this is as if you were pregnant. I
felt like I was pregnant with you. I was with you from day one.
No. In his defense is because I
will not take that away from you. You were pregnant. I was not. I'm sorry. Reclaim your time. Reclaim it.
I'm just saying in your defense, I've always been very vocal about every single symptom I've had in my life and what I'm feeling at every single moment of my life. So I've communicated that with you.
As an empath.
Oh God, don't even say that. People don't like that.
Really?
People don't like people who consider themselves like empaths or like
as an empath. I understand. Go. Keep going. Keep going. We might have to do this in a 2-parter. I'm gonna be honest.
I know we have to pick up maybe soon. Actually, no, I'm kidding. You have to have an hour.
No, let's yeah.
Should we jump to the birth story?
Well,
how long has it been?
We're at like 53.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Can we tell the birth story in such a?
We might have to do this in 2 parts because I feel like there's a lot that went on. Like I don't want to skip over things because I feel like let's make this like a 2-parter thing and then we'll go into something else. We'll be like part 1 and then part 2.
Okay.
Just because like there was a lot that happened because it was initially me getting sick, which was like the first half.
I know where to end it. So I'm going to keep going.
Okay. Keep going.
Anyway, that weekend I was like, I'm gonna like whatever. I'm gonna get like every craving I've ever had. So I went to go get pan de bono at this like place in San Jose, like Colombian like bakery place. I went to get that. Nothing happened. I ate Mexican food. Nothing happened. And then Sunday night, I was back home and I was like, Charlie, let's order Cheesecake Factory. I want some pasta.
Let's go, dude.
And Charlie was like, hell yeah, let's order Cheesecake Factory.
It was so good.
So then the Chipotle pasta is just so good. Which sometimes make my tummy hurt, but I love it and I don't care. So I had that and then we were still sleeping like Charlie was still sleeping here in the living room and I was sleeping in the bedroom because we wanted to be careful. He still had like some lingering cough and we still wanted to be careful even though he had tested negative at that point. Um that morning I woke up and it was like around 8:30 in the morning and I was feeling like slight like cramping. And all throughout my pregnancy I was told you will know when it's a contraction. And like Braxton Hicks exists, but this was no Braxton Hick. Like I know for a fact that it was a contraction because they're rhythmic. And I was like,
what are Braxton Hicks?
Braxton Hicks are fake contractions.
They're fake.
Ooh, my belly showing. I'm still getting.
No, you're fine. But whoever Braxton is, motherfucker, dude.
I don't know who Braxton is. I should probably look this up. I'll tell you the
next
episode.
Mother trucking Hicks.
These contractions are kind of almost supposed to prepare you in a way, but they don't. That's a freaking lie.
It's like your body saying, "Gotcha."
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, but I never felt that because when I actually started feeling real contractions, like that morning, I was like, the Braxton Hicks that I've experienced, and then I'm like, maybe I never had Braxton Hicks. I don't know. I just feel like tightening, which is what they say it is. I don't know. People have also experienced contractions differently, and this is what I was experiencing. I was experiencing like cramping. And like I have prior to having Mia, I always had intense cramping when I was in my period. Like every time I'd be on my period. So like this was level 0 compared to the like cramps that I would get like that I get during my period. Level 0. But I was like, okay, well, and then I started like, I have an app and I started like taking note of like how often. And they were every like 15 minutes, 30 seconds long. And I was like, okay, these are contractions.
You are so good at like keeping a record of what's going on with your body. Because if it was happening to me, I'd just be like, I don't know what's happening. Like I would have just gone.
This is because Charlie fell asleep while we were taking the birthing class. So he didn't realize that this was part of it, that they tell you to download an app or keep track of the contractions.
Yeah,
I have a video and I will post this on our Instagram of how he fell asleep while we were watching the birthing video.
Post it on the Instagram. Do it.
Anywho.
Do it.
So I text my sister and I'm like, hey, like I think I'm having contractions. Dulce, I text Dulce. I'm like, I think I'm having contractions. And she's like, time them. She calls me and she's like, okay, well, like maybe you are. You know what? Why don't you get up and then call mom? Because my mom was working and we had this whole setup where it's like, if I would go into labor while she was at work, I would call her office and then they would tell her. Mm-hmm. We were ready. Sorry, the candle smells really good.
It does. It's very soothing.
Yeah. So I get up, I go to the restroom to take my morning pee. And I look, and this is TMI, but I don't care because this is a birthing story. And if you want to listen to this, you can listen to this. And if you're scared of it, then you can skip through it, and we're okay with that. So this is like things are gonna start getting TMI here. So again,
TMI warning right now. TMI warning.
Yeah, like if you don't want to hear,
this, skip to
or like if you're scared of birth or whatever, please do. Yeah. Like I totally understand.
I was about to say spoiler warning, but I don't think it doesn't. It's not a spoiler alert.
Baby comes out. So I check and I'm bleeding. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I come out and Charlie's sleeping like in the couch. And I'm like, Charlie, like, it's happening. And he's like, what? It's happening? What do we do? Like, do I change? And I'm like, no, you have time to go in the shower. I'm going to call the hospital, let them know what's happening. And then they'll give me instructions. And he's like, okay, are you sure? Like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm really sure. So I call my mom and I'm telling I'm like voice messaging with all my sisters. All of them are sending me things. They're like, okay, get in the shower, do this, blah, blah, blah. So I called the hospital first. And let me just tell you, when Charlie gets in the shower and I'm about to call the hospital and I'm shaking. I never told you this before.
Yeah, you did.
I'm shaking. I am so scared. Like, I'm going to get emotional. I'm so scared. Because it's like, okay, this is happening. This is bleeding. Like, bleeding means it's happening. I mean, whether,
I mean, with good reason to be nervous. I mean, there's about to be a human coming out of you. Yeah. So it's intense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to take that away. It's your story.
No. And I remember just, like, breathing in and out. And then telling myself, it's going to happen. You are going to be okay. Like millions of women have done this multiple times and everything's fine. You're like, my whole pregnancy been safe. Nothing bad's going to happen. Like I just kind of kept like telling me words of affirmation to myself to just kind of, and then I was like, whew, okay, I'm good. I called, stop shaking. I was like, this is a moment. It's happening.
Wow. Your mom didn't give you words of affirmation?
Yeah. Well, prior to like, while I was at her house, I think the closer you get to like the date of labor, um, you start getting really nervous, which is like normal,
Mm.
like for sure. I I consider myself like I never was scared of labor
Mm-hmm.
prior to getting pregnant or while I was pregnant until the very end because I think I was at my sister's labor. I can't talk. I was at my sister's labor, so I had already seen what a real labor is in person, and I thought it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen a lot of birth videos. I work for a company where I like took childbirth classes. Like I work with parents and lactation consultants and companies and the whole this other ordeal. But so like I've been around that kind of environment
Mm-hmm.
and I was not scared of it. But when you're going through it and towards the very end of your pregnancy, when you know it's about to happen soon, you start to get a little scared. And
Yeah.
it's normal.
Yeah.
But all throughout my pregnancy, my mom would always be like, don't watch anything. But my mom's also the kind of woman who just like would rather not know and just go through the experience. I'm the opposite. I would like to be informed because I would like to know what's going in my body, like what's going through my body, what's happening with my body.
Yeah. So you can
Uh,
almost like,
the steps. Like if I know the steps, I'm like, okay, this is how this happened. Now it's this, and then it's this, and then it's this. So then in
I,
my head, I can.
I feel like this is the wrong word to use, but it's almost like rationalizing it, where it's like, oh, I know what's happening. So it's not just a random feeling that you don't know. You can't associate anything to.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, this is happening because of this. So you're
yeah.
rationalizing
I'm
it.
rationalizing, but I'm also like, and that helps me keep calm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so then yeah, I'm fine. And throughout my pregnancy, again, my mom would always tell me when the time comes, and everyone like my mom and my tia Elizabeth, and my sister Dulce, the three of them told me when the time comes, I promise you that you will not feel like you can't do it. Like, and if there's a moment that you feel like you can't do it, trust me, you'll be able to do it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't be scared.
Yeah.
Like, you just go through it because you love your child so much that you just go through it and it's going to be okay. And I think that mentality throughout my whole pregnancy really helped me because then at the end, when my mom kept kind of affirming to me, like, you're going to be okay, like, don't worry. And same thing with my sister kept affirming me, like, you're going to be okay. So, like, that really helped. In that moment, I was like, I'm taking this moment for myself to shake and be scared for a second because once I call and once they tell me what's next, I'm going to be okay. And I
Okay.
was. So, I think that was the moment where I felt like I'm calm and I feel like you can attest to how calm I was for the
You
majority of
were
it.
very calm, more than I think I was. Um, because I just didn't know what was going to go on. I also don't know much
Cuz he
about
slept
I slept through the pregnancy stuff.
the childbirth video.
But I'm also like, I'm just a nervous person by nature, so I just kept building things up. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know what the next steps are. I'm nervous in hospitals naturally just cuz like anytime you see them, especially on TV, shit's always happening. Shit's always
Yeah,
going down. So
for
it's
sure.
never like oh, let's briskly like walk into the hospital, everything's going to be fine. Like it's usually like something bad's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So just being in the hospital, there's this air of nervousness, like anything could go wrong, sort of deal. That's what I felt
Yeah.
anyway.
But I also feel like, okay, I'm at the hospital. Like, what better place to be if something goes wrong?
Quick question. We're at like an hour and 3 minutes. Do you feel comfortable getting through the rest of this in like
Yes.
30
Yeah.
minutes? So an hour 30, you think we could do this whole
Yeah.
story
We'll stop it at 1:30.
at 1:30? Okay. So,
Can I keep
but
going?
yes, keep going. But so everything leading up to this point, this is when we're leaving for the hospital. So
Well, so then I called and they
just to
tell
give a
me,
timeline.
yes,
So it's like sickness.
this is Monday morning. I call the hospital and they tell me, okay, you're bleeding. How much are you bleeding? Because if you're bleeding a lot, you need to immediately go to the hospital. That could mean that your placenta could have detached. In
Yeah.
this case, I was not bleeding a lot. I think my mucus plug had come out and I was bleeding from that. Um,
Real quick, between so sorry I just burped. So sorry. But between me recovering and us going to the hospital, was that like 10 days? Was that a 10-day period?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
because I came back
So
on
this is
Saturday.
10 days difference from me recovering from the crown virus to going to the hospital.
Well, no, this was from the 10-day period of your recovery. I came back home on Saturday and went into labor on Monday.
So
why are you confused? You lived it.
I'm just trying to build I don't know why I'm confused.
Okay.
Okay, but continue. Essentially, it's almost like 12 days.
Sure, that we're narrating
that
so
we're
far.
narrating so far.
So then again, I'm not bleeding a lot, so they're like, okay, stay at home, labor at home. Whenever your contractions get to what the rule of 5-5-5, which is like every 5 minutes. 5-1-1, every 5 minutes for 1 minute long for a whole entire hour. Come in.
Okay.
So my sisters come with my two older sisters come with my mom, and we go on this very long walk to try to get my contractions to keep going. They sort of stop, and then my mom and my sisters decide that they're gonna go back home. My mom's gonna get ready and she's gonna come spend the night here, and in case my contractions get worse in the middle of the night, and then I have to go to the hospital because my mom is gonna be at the was gonna be in the delivery room with me and Charlie.
Gotcha.
So you're like, gotcha, as if you didn't live it. So that night we're like eating. I think I was eating soup because I didn't want anything crazy. And we were watching the 49er game, which this comes full circle because I found out I was pregnant the season prior of the what was it, the 2021 season of the
I think so.
2021 season
2021.
of the 49er 49ers. And so yeah, I found out I was pregnant during like a Sunday, and it was like game day, and I was in labor on a Monday Night Football.
Crazy.
With watching the 49ers, and I was like having contractions while watching my.
But we went. So was it that Monday that we went to the hospital?
No. So okay. So my mom comes home. She's spending the night here. I'm sleeping in the living room because I want to be like close proximity to the bathroom, and I start to contract a lot more. Like it starts to get hard.
And at this point, for context, you and your mother are sleeping on this couch. Yeah. Your mother is sleeping kind of where I'm at, and you are sleeping where you're at.
Yeah.
On the couch. I am sleeping in the bedroom. Did I give them the bedroom? Yes, but they decided they wanted to be in here. Yeah. Not to make me sound like a dick and not give them the bedroom. I gave them the bedroom.
They did. He did, but we said no because I wanted to be close to the
bathroom.
To the bathroom. And truthfully, I also wanted you to get the most rest because I knew that like if during labor, mom doesn't really get a lot of rest. So I want to make sure that like you get the rest so you can be with the baby if need be.
Yeah.
So my contractions start getting worse, and it's like around 3 a.m. So we go to the hospital and at 3 a.m. to get checked because they are every 5 minutes for a minute long, and it has been like this for like over an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never been in labor. I don't know how crazy they can get, and I don't know how intense like they could get. Like I didn't know, and I would think that I don't like to say that I have what is that called? Like when you can handle pain?
You have a high pain tolerance.
I don't like to say that I have a high, but I think I do a little bit.
You're able to manage the pain a lot more than most people could.
So I was thinking like, well, maybe this is the pain, and what if what a joke, little did I know. So
shit was about to go down.
Shit was about to go way too real. So then we make it to the hospital. They check me. I'm literally just 1 centimeter open, which you have to be 10, and I'm just 1, and it's really sad and discouraging to hear it. But she does tell me that I'm like at a 50 or 60% of phase, which is like the softening of your cervix, and you want that because the more soft your cervix is, the quicker like something helps. I don't want to speak. I think I know what it is, but I don't want to speak and not know if it's true or not. Anywho, it's important. So they tell me that if in an hour, they're going to keep me for observation for an hour, and if in an hour my cervix is not even open another centimeter, then they're just going to send me home. So that's what they do. They sent me home, and I stay here. I'm still kind of having contractions. We get up, my mom and I get up in the morning, go on another walk, and when we get back, we kind of start just preparing ourselves, like getting our bags ready and stuff. And there's a point where I'm like, listen, I don't want to be home. And this is the Tuesday morning of the day that I'm going to get induced anyway. I was supposed to go into the hospital Tuesday night and
Mm-hmm.
like to get induced anyway. So I tell my mom and Charlie, I don't want to wait at home anymore. Let's go in. And if they need to kind of get the induction ready, I don't know if that's the right word, let's just start it sooner
Yeah.
because I'm scared that, I don't know. I was just scared that for some reason I wasn't going to be able to handle going in the car because it's like a
Yeah.
15-minute ride to the hospital and I was
No,
just
I
scared.
think I think it was a logical choice to be kind of like, let's just go in before things get really insane, so
Yeah.
that we're already at the hospital.
Yeah.
Because if the long like when that stuff happens, just like with anything that you would have to go to the hospital for, time is always a factor. Where
Yeah.
it's like the more time you have if you're in the hospital, the better it is. Because
Yeah.
the further you are away, the more likely things could go wrong.
Yeah. And the thing is this that like, um, the contractions were getting stronger. They weren't like super strong. Like I was able to handle them, really handle them. But it was one of those like whenever one would hit, I would have to breathe a bit.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh yeah, I could feel this
Yeah.
one,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I just wanted to go and be in the hospital. So that's what I did. We ended up going to the hospital. Funny thing is that they kind of stopped when we got to the hospital. But because again, I was going to get induced that night, they decided that we were going to like they were going to go ahead and start the process. So they said they checked us in and then they said at 5 your OB's going to come in and she's going to start the process. So,
Mm.
what time is it?
It's 1:11. I
I
want to.
wanted to.
I want to say something. For the sake of time,
You want to end it here?
no. I think it'd be a really good idea for us to go up until she's born and then stop it there because I think we
I have a
can.
better idea. Just follow with me.
What?
Just
Okay, 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 okay. I was just thinking because, like, the. You
yes,
know what?
yes, yes,
No.
yes,
I'll let
yes,
you go.
yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm a storyteller. I'm not a good storyteller, but I'm a storyteller, like story writer.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so we're in there at 5 p.m. sharp. My doctor, my OB comes in and she says, we're going to start you with a little thing that it's called like a balloon and we're going to insert it into your cervix. And this thing is supposed to like open you up. Uh, Once you reach 4 centimeters, it's going to pop. And then the Pitocin, they're going to, sorry, repeat that again. They're going to put the balloon in. The balloon is supposed to help me open up to 4 centimeters. While the balloon is in there, they're going to start me on Pitocin. Like every hour, every 30 minutes or every hour, I forgot. They're going to put a little drip, add a little drip to it. So I'm like, okay, cool. She's like, as soon as I put this in, you're going to feel like period cramps. Well, that's exactly what it felt like. As soon as the thing was in, it was like period cramps. It was exactly like period cramps. And I was like, oh shit, this hurts. She left. And I'm not even kidding, guys. 15 minutes later, I was in so much pain. This wasn't even like they hadn't even put the Pitocin in yet.
Mm-hmm.
This was just the balloon opening up my cervix.
That sounds.
It
I don't have a cervix. That sounds painful.
it was essentially
That
like they
sounds
were
uncomfy.
ripping.
That's no bueno. That's no bueno.
The pain is so intense that I'm like holding on to Charlie's hand for dear life. And
Yeah,
I
I
want to
felt
like
my hand like breaking, like just like okay. But I
and
squeezed
I
back.
was
I
and I
squeezed
was
back just to be
yes,
like,
you did.
I'm there.
Yes,
I'm
you
with
did,
you.
honey. I appreciate you.
Here we go.
My mom comes in because she had stepped out to to eat dinner, and she comes back in and she sees me in pain. She's like, "Oh crap! Like this shit's real. Like this about to go. I can't talk today.
It's
This
okay.
is about to get
It's okay. You got
worse."
this.
And my mom has been in like multiple labors. It's like at this point, my mom should just get like a midwife honor badge or
She
something
should. She
because
should.
she's been in so many labors with like my aunts and my sisters and everyone.
She's the family midwife.
She's the fam. Which my grandmother, which we talked about in the last episode, my great grandmother, remember the coins?
Yeah.
She was a midwife. But they don't call them midwives; they call them parteras in Mexico. So anywho, long story short, because we need to continue. I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm like, fuck, this is hard. So I want to murder a whole town. I want to make sure that my child never births anything, and I'm gonna make an account instead for college. I'm gonna make a savings account for her to use a surrogate because I will never allow Mia to go through this pain. I am ready to fix Lucia. I cannot allow Lucia to go through this puppy pain of having kids. I'm in so much pain that
Which,
I
not
want
to
to
be
murder
bad dog
a whole
owners,
town.
but she's still not fixed.
But there's a lot of reasons why.
There are a lot of reasons. We'll get into it later, but I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, poor baby. So anywho, at this point, they start the Pitocin, and it gets even worse. Like, there's a little machine registering your contractions, and they're like high, like getting to the 200. Remember and the only thing helping me was having Charlie count how high they were getting, and then when it started to go down, like have him tell me when it was starting to get low, because it's the thing that you were talking about later. It sort of like rationalizes in your brain, or
it kind of like helps you. If I know what this pain means, it eases me because then I know it's not something else.
Well, and in my head I had this mantra of like one step closer to the baby, but also like, this is pain, this is pain, this is pain, this is pain. Feel it. It's okay. It's okay. And when it's high, like, oh, this hurts so much, but it's about to come down. And when it starts coming down, you feel it and you're like, okay, I can breathe again.
Yeah.
And then you prepare for the next one. And by the third time that you have like the same type of contraction, like level of intensity, you kind of learn how to like deal with it. And you have like 2 more of those kind of like the same level of intensity. And then you're like, I can handle that. And then it hits harder. And then you're like, so it keeps like mounting to like more.
That's
and then you just kind of do the same thing with those contractions, right? There is a point where I feel like I pee myself and I'm like, oh, my water broke, right? They check and they're like, it's not your water. I was like, weird. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh, I probably peed. But then I was like, whatever, I peed, whatever.
Yeah, the only people in the room at that point is just you, me, and your mom.
But I didn't pee. Because what happened was that something else happened, okay? So I'm in a lot of pain, and they're about to come back to put the second dose of Pitocin, and I tell the nurse, I don't know if I can handle this. I know I'm not even 4 centimeters open, but I think I might need epidural now. And she's like, we don't.
That good. You know
like,
what I'm saying?
We don't base pain.
Top tier drugs right now. Let's go.
Yeah, and she was so sweet. She was like, we don't base pain on how many centimeters you're open. We base it on how you feel. And if you're ready, I would say let's go for it. This is the thing. Could I have handled the pain? Yes. But I know with epidural, you have to stay really still when they're putting it in. And I was scared that when the contraction would hit and they were like inserting the needle.
I was like holding your front while they put it in your back.
Yeah.
And just holding you as still as possible so that, sorry.
As they were putting, like, you have to stay very still. And I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to do that if, like, they were this strong. But I also felt really, like sad about it because I was like, I really wanted to wait to at least 4 centimeters. Like, my goal was 6 centimeters and then get the epidural. So I was really sad because I was like, I am not even 4. Like, I feel so, what is that thing? Like, I can't even say the feeling. But it was just.
Like, not depressed, but like.
Discouraged?
Just, okay. Yeah, no, I think discouraged is a good word.
And I was crying to my mom, and my mom's like, don't wait.
Because you feel like you didn't go as far as you could.
As I wanted it. Yeah, as I wanted to go with the pain.
But
to
yeah,
be able
your
to
mom's
manage.
right. Don't feel bad for that.
No, she was like, stop. Like, you have the ability to, like, not feel pain. Go for it. Like, I didn't have that. Like, what are you kidding? Like, no. Get it. And I was like, okay. So I get the epidural. Charlie's right. You have to stand very still. There was a moment where Charlie like moved a little, and I was like, "Don't move."
I know. She like squeezed me, and I'm like, "I'm sorry."
And
I'm sorry.
I had 2 contractions in the middle of getting my epidural, but I swear to you guys, like, there's something that just comes, like, just comes.
That good,
what is it
drug.
like? Takes your whatever, like, in your body. You just like your mind and your body.
You said it felt cold, like
water.
Well,
no. I meant like. I had 2 contractions while I was getting the needle was getting inserted and stuff. And something just overcomes. Is that the right saying? Like, overcomes your body, or like something just.
Yeah, overcomes. I think you're saying it right.
I didn't move, and I felt so calm, and I didn't even feel the pain in that moment. I think it's adrenaline. It must be adrenaline.
And this was before the epidural was like given.
This was like when they were inserting, like, numbing me.
Yes, I think you're saying the word right, and I think it's probably a combination of like I'm getting the thing that's going to alleviate the pain, so there's probably a rush of like.
Well, it's an adrenaline. It's also, I think, adrenaline because it's like, okay, if I move, I could get paralyzed, and I also don't want that. But like, yeah, you're right. So anywho, I get this and it literally feels like heaven. I'm like, oh,
That's that
so
good.
good. This was already like at what, like 9, 10, almost about to be 10 p.m.
And your emotional state up to that point was very much like, oh my God, this is intense. Like you were weathered.
Yeah.
And then they give you that and you almost kind of like flip around. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I feel good now.
Yeah.
And
So
I remember, like, I don't know if I told you this, but maybe I was thinking it, but I was like, that's what drugs do, baby.
yeah,
That's what drugs do.
I totally understood
That's
why people do it.
That's why people lose their lives to it because so good.
And I respect people now for doing
Oh my
it.
God.
Because
okay, let's not maybe
the level of pain you're in and then it just disappears.
I mean, that's why people literally throw their lives away for drugs because it makes the bliss of life a little easier. Like,
well, and that happened.
yeah.
So my nurse comes and checks me and she realizes that she's like, oh, I can't check your cervix because you still have a balloon. But what she doesn't tell me is that she feels something weird. So she gets out of the room and then comes back with another nurse. And then she says, hey, we're going to check your balloon because when I checked it, it felt very like different inside. And I was like, okay. So they checked and they realized that my balloon had popped. So remember that time that I thought that I peed myself, that it wasn't my water, but it was, and I thought it was pee and I was embarrassed. Well, it wasn't pee either. It was the balloon that had popped and they hadn't even noticed. I was already at a 7. I was open 7 centimeters.
So the hospital messed up. They messed up big time.
I don't know. And I'm not gonna use the podcast to like put blame on anything.
I won't have you, but they messed up big time.
So, but also I think it pops just like in a different way than normally does. So I think for them it's like,
yeah, I feel like honestly it was an honest mistake. I'm in the same boat as you. I'm not gonna blame the hospital. I'm not gonna use the podcast to blame the hospital. It was.
Can we not say anything until we get to that point? Because I know we're about to say and like, can you just.
Yes.
So anywho, because we're timed.
Yeah.
So anywho, I'm at that point. I'm like, they check my cervix and they're like, no, you're actually at a 7. And my whole demeanor changes because I'm like, I did this. I knew these contractions were not just like it's impossible. Like this is a lot of pain for it not to be at a 7.
Yeah.
Like I was experiencing like 7 centimeter contractions. Yeah. I was very happy and I was watching Cuatro Elementos on TV and I was like, oh, I'm having a blast. You guys take a nap. I'm watching my show. And then like my water broke like at midnight. And that's a very like the first time that I thought my water broke, it wasn't even the feeling that I felt when my water broke, the actual, like when it actually broke. Like it was like a little balloon just like, bloop, and it felt so good to just like.
Oh my God.
And it kept coming out and out and out and out. So the head nurse checked me because my nurse was on break. And this is where I'm like, I don't really like the head nurse because the head nurse checked me and she's like, oh yeah, it looks like your water broke. And she walked out. She didn't change my sheets. She didn't change anything. And it's protocol to change the sheets of the person's water just broke, right?
Yeah.
Because when my nurse came in, and I don't know the policies that they have around this. I don't know if they maybe are not supposed to do this or whatever, but I'm like, okay. So when my actual nurse comes in after her like break, she checks and is like, hey, I just heard that your water broke. And she checks me and she like immediately like cleans, like just change the sheets, whatever.
Yeah.
So then I'm there and then they continue checking me. And at a point they're like, okay, you're like at a 9, like and a half. So I'm like, this is it. Cause I've been in births, like I've been in my sister's birth before. And then with my older sister, I was in the room, but I wasn't in the room during the pushing part. I was just during the labor part. And I was like, this is it. Like, I'm about to have her like, and
like 10's the golden number, right?
Yes. And I'm like, from 9 and a half to 10, that's like, it could, in 2 minutes, it could open. Like, are you kidding me? I was like, it's a done deal. I can start pushing, right? But they're like, we'll just wait till you're officially 10. I was like, okay, cool. An hour passes and I'm still at a 9.5. Another hour passes and I'm still at a 9.5. And they're kind of starting to be like, well, this is a little weird, right? So then they just sort of have me pushing at this point. They're like, let's start pushing. Yeah. They had me on all these positions prior. Yeah, they had me in all these positions prior. And then they're like, you know what? Let's just start pushing. Like practice pushing. And I was like, let's do it. And I'm putting all in. I was like, like pushing. You're pushing with me.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my mom's face. And I know that face. And I'm like, something's wrong. And I'm like, Mom, can you see anything? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So I continue to do the practice pushing. My nurse walks to the monitor And she starts calling the head nurse. They're whispering to each other.
Which is never a good sign.
Never a good sign. The machine starts beeping. I get a fever. And I'm like, Dulce had a fever. This is not good. But I'm like, it's normal. It's probably normal. It's fine. The machine starts beeping really intensely. And they say that the baby's heart rate dropped. Like, really just badly.
Shit.
So then they call my OB. My OB comes into the room, has ordered, like my OB orders an emergency ultrasound to check on the baby. They bring in the ultrasound machine, but they don't perform the ultrasound because my OB comes in right after the machine comes, like right behind the machine. And she says, she checks my cervix and she looks at the nurse and at the head nurse and says, how many centimeters did you say she was open? And she's like, oh, she was like a 9.5. When was the last time you checked? And she's like, oh, well, like, and she says the time that the nurse, my actual nurse checked. And she's like, I'm not asking what was the time that she checked. I'm asking the time that you checked.
Oh, putting her in her place.
Putting her in her place. And she's like,
damn.
Oh, like that was like an hour or whatever ago. And she's like, because she's not at a 9. She's at an 8. And it's very swollen.
So it's closing.
It's closing. So she looks at me and I already know what's coming. And she looks at me and she's like, I know this is not what you want to hear, but we're going to have to move forward with the C-section because the baby's heart rate is going up and down.
And that's when shit goes
and my
from
heart rate was also going
100.
My heart rate was also going up and down. And she's like, is that okay with you? I just need like consent. And I was like, yeah. And I swear to you in that moment, I was like, I'm okay with whatever as long as the baby's okay and I'm okay. I didn't have a birth plan. I wanted just to make sure everything was fine. So she's like, great, I'm calling it. And she turns around to the nurse and says, can you please call an emergency C-section? And in that moment, like 20 people rush in.
And it gets so
and it
insane.
Gets chaotic.
It does.
And we'll go and we'll continue.
And we'll finish that in our next episode of Little Grain. Shit's about to get cray.
Gets more intense.
That is, I mean, I was there the entire time. It's not a crazy story for me, but it's still, anytime you talk about it, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah. It's like I'm living it again.
But please stay tuned for the next episode of Little Grain, where we will finish this saga.
Yeah.
We'll
talk about what an emergency C-section is.
And we'll go into detail about it.
If it was painful or not.
Because I think this story needs to be told for other people too. You know?
I think so too.
Because I feel like not all births are the same. You're going to get variations. But again, we'll talk about it in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Please leave comments. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm just feeling really sick right now. Like my body aches.
Well, we're going to get you something to eat.
I have a fever.
Love you guys.
Oh, your hands are so cold.
Yeah, mine. You are actually a little warm. All right, we're going to fix this young lady up. All right, love you guys.
You know
bye-bye.
I'm a performer when I'm literally
Say bye to the
just
people.
Like,
say bye to the people.
Oh, bye-bye. Bye.